UFC 304 main card is official. Dana White made the announcement and gave us a banger card. Main card is phenomenal in terms of fights that we knew was supposed to happen and then fights that we got and we're excited about. A lot of great matchups here. It's everything that, really I expected it to be. So let's get into it. Let's look at the main card and, see what we make of it. Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad. Of course, this is a fight that we've been waiting for such a long time. Like, it got to the point where even people that didn't like Belal were like, all right, we know he's the guy. Can we just make this fight happen already? Like, at some point, it just had to happen. And finally, it's set in stone. It's official. And it's funny because Belal didn't even know about the announcement. You think after all this like hype and build up to this fight and all this time of Belal calling for it, that they'd at least tell him, hey, okay, we're going to make the announcement now. Or, hey, it's officially done before announcing it. But of course, he doesn't know. And I don't know how the UFC keeps getting away with this and just keeps doing this where they announce fights and the fighters don't even know about the fights that are announced. And they're fighting. Like, I don't know how that keeps happening and why they keep doing that. But it keeps happening. It was just so funny seeing that. And I couldn't believe it.
Dana White just said some things on Instagram.
Huh?
Dana White just said some things on Instagram. Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad, main event.
No way.
It's just wild to me that he didn't know. Like, the UFC literally just doesn't care. They're like, we're announcing it. It's done. I'm like, you can't just like give a text and be like, hey, like the fight's done. It's official, like official. But anyways, going into the matchup, it's funny because a lot of people, and I get it. A lot of people are saying, look, this could be a super boring main event. And it very well could be. Like, this could be an awful fight in terms of entertainment. But I don't necessarily think that's the only option for this fight. I think it could be super entertaining. It could be really fun and interesting. I don't think it's guaranteed to be boring. It is a high chance this fight could be boring. But if you look at that first fight, it does show like when Belal's pushing forward and Leon's countering, and at one point, Leon was piecing up Belal before the eye poke, of course. That could happen in this second fight. It doesn't mean that the fight's going to be, the same way, because I don't think the fight's going to go the same way. I think it could be a snooze fest, but there's the option that it isn't, right? Because if you look, you can look at it from multiple perspectives. If you look at it from the matchup, you could say, look, this could very much well be very similar to the Colby Covington fight, right? Colby trying to take Leon down. He's not too successful with it. And then Leon's, picking his shots, being very smart and kind of just picking away at Colby. And in this case, Belal, he could just do kind of the same thing he did with Colby. But here's the thing. If what Colby was saying was true and all that stuff, and the reason why he performed that way was because of his foot and injury and all that stuff, and Belal's fully healthy, both these guys are fully healthy, and clearly they're going to be prepared because they have time to prepare for this fight, it's not going to go like the Colby fight, right? The other side of it too, I don't think it's going to go the same way as the first time they fought, right? Because Belal, the first time they fought, this was coming after like a month after his last fight, right? So this is totally different. A lot of time has passed. He has more time to strategize, prepare physically, mentally. So I don't think it's going to go, the same way it did the first time. And I also don't think it's going to go the same way as the Colby Covington fight, because I think Belal is going to be, a lot more forward pressuring, and he's going to take more risks than Colby did. I think mentally they're going to have two different mindsets going into this fight. So I don't think it's going to go either way. At the end of the day, this fight had to happen. It's supposed to happen. And I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than people think it is. It could be boring, but I don't think it's going to be as boring as some people think it's going to be. All right, now we go to Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes, and I really like this matchup because it's unfinished business for both these guys, right? The first time they fought, it wasn't really a fight. Tom Aspinall, it was fast, boom, and then he gets injured, and it's like, we didn't really get anything. Even Blaydes knows that, Tom knows that, so making this matchup, it's it's perfect for both guys. Blaydes to show, look, I am better than Tom Aspinall, and then for Tom Aspinall to really avenge his only loss. But it was interesting because Tom said that this wasn't their first option. Right? Tom said it was Ciryl Gane.
I said, okay, the UFC want to do it, we can do it. I'm not bothered. I feel like I'm the champion of the world. I'm ranked #1 in the world. I'll fight anybody.
Yeah. You got to give Tom a ton of credit here. At the end of the day, he is a true competitor. He just wants to fight, the best guys that he hasn't fought and proven himself with, right? Curtis Blaydes, he has unfinished business. For him, this makes sense. Look, let me just fight this guy. He's going to risk his chance at undisputed because, look, the champion doesn't want to fight me. Fine, I'm going to fight the next guy that I can. And I don't blame Tom for taking this fight at all because he's going to wait all this time to see the winner of Jones and Stipe. And if Jones wins, he may very well retire. And then if Jones loses, then they might do a rematch with Stipe. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, especially with Jon Jones, the way he's talking and the way the UFC is pushing so hard for Jones and Stipe. It makes a bunch of sense for why Tom is like, look, I just want to stay active. I don't want to be sitting around doing nothing. And if you look at both sides, both options, you know, I think Tom made the right choice, and I'm glad that he's deciding to stay active.
Cyril, on the other hand, he's out there doing a film. Cyril is trying to be the French Arnold Schwarzenegger right now. And fair play to him. If he wants to do films and be an actor, go and enjoy yourself, Cyril. Go and do your thing, make some money, do whatever you're doing. But he didn't take the fight. He wanted to do his film. So
wow. So that's interesting because a lot of people talk about Cyril Gane and ducking and not wanting to take certain fights and kind of cherry picking his way at the top position. And then here we go again. Granted, he probably did sign a contract to do a film before he was offered any fights, and now he's kind of like stuck. He's like, I already signed the contract, I got to do it. But, you know, it's not a great look because it's like Tom's taking on any challengers, right? He's calling for Jon Jones. Okay, fine. Okay, Cyril Gane says no. Okay, fine. Curtis Blaydes. All right, here we go. Unfinished business. I'm putting my interim belt on the line for this. And then we get Cyril Gane, who's like doing some other side project, some side quest, and he's not even there. Hopefully, eventually, Cyril Gane fights Tom Aspinall and the other guys. All right, next is Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett. And Bobby was a guy a lot of people thought Paddy wouldn't take just because he's so slick on the feet and he's very dangerous. People thought, okay, Paddy might go for someone else who isn't as much of a threat on the feet. But nonetheless, he took it, especially after that Tony Ferguson loss. A lot of people were kind of suspect of Paddy. You know, they're still not too high of him. Of course, the Jared Gordon robbery, one of the worst robberies of all time. And then the Tony Ferguson fight. And Tony Ferguson, obviously a fan favorite. People didn't even like that matchup to begin with. And then he didn't even finish Tony. Granted, that's hard to do no matter what. And look, he won fair and square end of the day. But people just weren't high on that performance. And now he's fighting Bobby Green. You know, here we go. This is the test. Look, he's fighting a guy who's dangerous on the feet. Granted, maybe Paddy sees a huge advantage on the ground for himself. Maybe that's why he kind of took this fight. He's like, look, I think I got a huge advantage here. I'm going to take him to the ground and finish him, let's say like what Islam did. But Paddy also likes to scrap. And if he scraps with Bobby, he's going to put himself in a vulnerable position there. And that could be, you know, he could put himself in harm's way. But that being said, Bobby also leaves a lot of openings for himself. So if they scrap, this could be, you know, 50-50. But I would obviously lean to Bobby just because he is just slicker with his punches. Granted, I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be wild. And I'd be curious to see if Paddy is going to really stand up and scrap with Bobby or if he's going to try to take it to the ground early. A lot of people were calling Paddy out. And because of that, I thought they'd make the Moicano fight because the striking, you know, isn't the same as Bobby Green. And then I think the grappling would be very competitive. Nonetheless, they go Bobby Green. And super intriguing. Paddy's back. The UK is going to be going crazy. And Bobby's coming off a great win against Jim Miller and also a really bad KO loss against Jalen Turner. So, you know, who knows what we're going to see, you know, from Bobby Green because, he shows kind of both sides, right? He can be very vulnerable, right? Like we saw in that Jalen Turner fight, or he can be very, very dangerous and slick. And, you know, we'll see what happens in this fight. I think on the feet, Bobby's going to have a big advantage. And then if it goes to the ground, obviously Paddy does. Either guy could get clipped in this fight. That's the thing. It's like, ugh. This is one you don't want to blink. Then we go to the next fight, Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. I think this could be a scrap too. This is going to be a straight up scrap. These two guys are going to go back and forth. It's going to be super fast paced. This will be a super fun fight. I cannot wait to see this. Arnold Allen, you know, he has his struggles. He had that loss against Max Holloway, the controversial one against Mosfar, where you could argue that the fight he could have got the finish, right? If the ref didn't stop the fight from that knee, and then, you know, the knee, was it grounded, was it not? You know, under the new rules that they're trying to make right now, that would not be counted as grounded, so it would be perfectly fine knees. But nonetheless, 2 losses in a row for Arnold. He's trying to get back on that win column. You know, I think he's going to be as sharp as ever. I think he's going to be looking to be aggressive and look to get that finish and make a big statement to come back. I think it's a big fight for Arnold, and I think he will show up. Either way, this is going to be a scrap from both these guys. It's going to be a dog fight. And again, just another great matchup on this main card. This whole main card so far is just must watch. And finally, Mokaev versus Kape. This is just a rivalry, a battle, especially with the flyweight division. The winner of this fight could determine who gets the next title shot. You know, who could be that next guy up. And this is going to be a very important showing. If Mokaev gets a boring win, Are they going to want to give him that title shot, right? Are they going to maybe find someone else? Look, for Mokaev, you're undefeated. It's a big opportunity for you. But if you're going to put the fans to sleep, especially with the time of this card, you might literally put some of the fans to sleep if you put on, a performance, again, that, a lot of people see as boring. I don't know if they're going to want to push you up into that title fight status, right? To me, that's kind of the big storyline for this. Whoever wins this fight has to make a statement if they want to get that next title shot. And of course, the beef between these guys is real, and that press conference is going to be wild. Like, everything leading up to this fight is going to be theater. So we'll see. Anyways, those are just my quick thoughts on the 304 main card, the announcement that just came out. Let me know what you guys think about the matchups, who you think is going to win. What do you think are going to be the key factors? Let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.